You ever brew one of those amazing one-off batches? The one that everybody in the tap room absolutely loved, but you still had that nagging feeling in the back of your head that it didn't actually make you any money? Well, there's a really common and kind of costly mistake that might be hiding in your numbers. And today, we're going to dig in and uncover it. What if I told you there's a phantom cost, let's say $200, clinging to every single one of those small experimental batches you brew? That could be the hidden expense of overhead that you're just not accounting for right now. And listen, this isn't a scare tactic. It's a real expense that can be the difference between a beer that's actually profitable and one that's a quiet financial drain on your brewery. Look, I know you've got your grain and hops dialed in, probably down to the ounce. The real culprit here, that hidden cost, isn't in your recipe. It's your overhead. And when you forget this one crucial piece of the puzzle, you could end up celebrating a super popular beer that's secretly losing you money with every single pint you pour. All right, so let's get into it. The danger of incomplete numbers. We're going to talk about why just ignoring overhead can really hurt your brewery. So this really shows the gap between what we think is happening and what's actually happening. On the left is how most of us start out, right? We calculate the cost with just ingredients and labor. But honestly, that's a dangerously incomplete picture. The real cost, over on the right, always includes overhead. Without that piece, you're basically flying blind. And this isn't just theory, right? The consequences are real. You end up pricing beers too low to be profitable. You might waste time and tank space brewing a popular beer that's really just a money pit. And worst of all, you're making these huge decisions about your entire lineup based on flawed data. Okay, so the good news is there is a simple fix for this. You definitely do not need an accounting degree, I promise. There's a really straightforward way to figure out your overhead and immediately start making better decisions. So the big question is, how do you actually calculate a workable overhead cost? And look, the goal here isn't some number that's perfect down to the last penny. It's all about getting a practical, workable number that can help guide your decisions. Just allocating something for overhead is a million times better than allocating nothing at all. It's actually a super simple 3-step process. First, you're just going to add up all those indirect costs. The stuff you need just to keep the lights on. We're talking rent, utilities, insurance, all your cleaning supplies. Next, take that big number and divide it by your total annual barrel production. And boom, that's it. You have your overhead costs per barrel. It's a solid, workable number you can start applying to every batch you make. Okay, so you've got this new magic number. Now what? Let's talk about how to turn it into a seriously powerful decision-making tool. This is the fun part. For this, I want to show you something really cool. It's a fantastic and totally free tool called the Experimental Beer Postmortem Worksheet. It's basically a simple spreadsheet that helps you do a postmortem on your small batch beers so you can see how they really performed both financially and, with your actual customers. So why bother with this? Well, it helps you get past just your gut feeling. It uses your real data to answer those critical questions, like, should we scale up that seasonal that did so well? Or was that hazy IPA actually a drag on our profits? This worksheet gives you the hard numbers so you can make the right call with confidence. And probably the best part is, you already have all this data. You're not inventing new information here. Your ingredient costs are sitting in your brew logs, your sales data is in your POS system, and that overhead number, that comes right from the simple calculation we just walked through. You're just pulling it all into one place to see the big picture. So once you plug in your numbers, the worksheet does all the heavy lifting. It takes all those inputs and automatically gives you this complete visual picture of a batch's total cost. I mean, for the first time, you can see exactly how much things like rent and utilities are contributing to the final cost of that experimental stout. It's pretty eye-opening. And it gets even better. It also visualizes the performance, so you can immediately see how a new beer stacks up against your brewery's average gross margin. The color coding just instantly highlights your winners and your losers, which makes your whole analysis super quick and really clear. All right, let's bring this all home. From guesswork to growth. This is where we make it all count and start making clearer, more profitable decisions. Look, if you take just one thing away from this, let it be this. Just tracking this one extra number brings incredible clarity to your entire brewing strategy. It forces you to think more critically about every single beer you make, how you're pricing it, and where you should really be focusing your time and your creative energy. What this really gives you at the end of the day is confidence.
The confidence to know for sure which of your creations are true winners that are actually moving your business forward, and which ones are just fun one-batch winders that, while awesome to brew, might actually be dragging you down. Seriously, by taking this one small step, you can make a huge improvement to your brewery's bottom line. So I guess the only question left is, which one of your experimental beers are you going to analyze first?